Welcome back aboard Arabella, now on the southern coast in a small village called Francois that's only accessible by boat. We ended here last week with Robin needing to head back to the truck to go replace a destroyed laptop. All went well, and the next day she was back aboard with Steve and Akiva.
Yeah, buddy. My thoughts exactly.
The next morning was her first time catching a glimpse of the new surroundings.
Come on.
So I guess that's what they mean when all the locals say you enter and it's foggy and it clears up as soon as you're inside.
Wow, this is so cool.
But they weren't staying long in Francois, as they had a little trip planned to head to the northern side of Newfoundland. The destination of this multi-day journey was the island and town of Twillingate, which is one of many places on the north coast where every spring you can view the giant icebergs as they pass by.
Kiva smells all the other dogs. This is the little kennel area on the ferry. I'm not going to try to lock him in one of the crates.
No.
He's never been crate trained. When I got Akiva, I got him in Norway. He was 2.5 months old. And he went in the crate for a 13-hour flight. And I was supposed to be able to get him in Iceland, but I couldn't. So I had planned a long layover, figuring I'd get him and walk him, and they wouldn't let me get him. So this poor 2.5-month-old pup stayed in a crate for 13 hours, didn't mess, held it the whole time. A couple different flights, and after that experience, I was never gonna try to put him in a crate again. We let him out in the airport, and then we tried to put him back in for the car ride, and he was like, oh, hell no. I'm never going back in that ever again. I will fight you to the death. So, he's never been crated since. Come on, man. Akiva is very ready to get off his 4-hour ferry ride. And we are arriving in Burgeo. Next stop is a several-hour car ride, and we'll see if we can find some icebergs. First iceberg! Very cool. Alright, let's go find some more. I love the crazy fin on this one.
I love the fin, and I love how wavy the fin is.
Yeah, those like grooves out of it.
Yeah. 15, I can hardly keep up with them.
This is what the road is like all the way to Burgeo. You know it when you find one of these.
Sometimes I'm driving, it feels like I'm like driving Mario Kart. Because you're like, just trying not to drop in.
The road's in a little bit of rough shape here. I think this is car number 4 in almost 50 kilometers.
There's the Wi-Fi if you want it.
There's a Wi-Fi hotspot. And man, this is traffic today. I think this is number 6, right?
5 or 6? I thought it was just 5.
I thought last one was 5. I don't know.
We'll have to check tape.
We're bad at counting. At the town line here in Burgeo, just outside of town, we've got the helipad. So it's too long of a drive to take you by ambulance to the hospital if there's an emergency. So they have the helipad here, right on the edge of town, and instructions on how to be safe around a helicopter. You know you're remote when.
When they got back to Arabella in Francois, the boat had some unexpected new neighbors.
Arabella looks like a toy next to that cat. Oh my god. Look at that mast. I know they get way bigger. Grand scheme of opulent boats, this one doesn't even register, but it's a far cry from anything we've seen since we left Miami.
After a short stay in Francois, Steve and Robin got Arabella ready to set off further east, where they would finally lay eyes on the climbing wall known as the Nuttek, and haul in all of the climbing gear they will need to put up some new routes on the unexplored cliff.
Well, the weather's finally perking up, and with that come the black flies. So when we were up in Twillingate, we stopped in this outdoor store and checked this out. We saw these jackets. We've got hoods. And they've got built-in bug nets. How cool is that? I've never seen anything like it. I saw these and was like, that is genius. And that is gonna make a huge difference for our summer here in Newfoundland. So the weather's finally perked up. Robin and I are obviously back from our journey to go see icebergs in Twillingate. And we are gonna head down the bay, past Devil's Bay. So we're gonna see the big wall that I've been dreaming about for 2 decades. And we're gonna head back into Hare Bay and go in and hike in and see the Nuttek, and then decide where we wanna set up camp and what we wanna try to get into. So it should be a pretty mellow little journey today. So we are here in Francois, and we're gonna head east. And then this is all of our churns coming up through Hare Bay. And then we're gonna go back here to Dolan Bight. And the Nuttek is right back here. And then the cliff on Devil's Bay is right over here. So we'll see that as we go by. It's 18 miles, I think, so pretty short little journey. And we've had a lot of really cloudy weather. It's been pretty gross. I mean, this is like the most sun we've seen in a little while. So we're gonna run the motor a bit and top the batteries up. Because otherwise we're gonna get there and we're gonna have to fire the generator up. So either way. Oh man, we gotta get going. These black flies are fierce. There's the ferry. They leave in like 15 minutes, so they're gonna be passing us soon. So there is close land, obviously. Maybe 100 yards at most, 75 yards. And 170 feet below us. This is why anchoring in some of these places is so challenging. It's just so steep too. Anchoring in 160 feet of water, by the time you let out that much scope, you'd be on the shore. That's blow me down. Kind of hard to keep steady in these swells.
What swells?
I tell you, nothing gets you motion sick like trying to film. What we came for. This is what I built Arabella for. This is it. It's never been climbed. No one's explored it. It's all ours to play with.
Now that they had figured out the right path to take to make it to the rock, the next and more arduous step was to huck in the 100+ pounds of climbing gear that they'll need when they come back to set up base camp.
So, pitons, wrap rings, drill bits, bolts, all that fun stuff. And then tent poles, because if they get wet, not a big deal. Not really worried about rodents chewing on any of the steel. That can all just sit here.
And even after all that, they weren't ready to set up a permanent base camp. One more trip back to civilization to get the weeks of provisions they will need will be made with Arabella. So having a secure and reliable anchorage to come back to was the next priority.
It's kind of hard to see, but there's a stern line coming from Arabella to where that fender is, and there's an anchor there. And then it continues in to shore. We did that when we got here because
There's 2 rivers up that way, and there's a pretty good tidal change here. And with all of these hills, there's kind of a swirling wind. And what happens is Arabella just does circles, and she's gonna break her anchor out and reset it, and break it out and reset it, and break it out and reset it. So the locals strongly recommended that we stern tie so that we're not swinging around and upsetting the anchor. And so that's what we have set up, and I'm gonna set this up a little bit better right now. When I was walking to Kiva this morning, I found this giant yellow line tangled up in a bunch of logs and debris. Obviously has been there quite a while. So I fished it out, and we're gonna use it as our stern line. It's a bit fraying, it's a bit sun damaged, but I think for a stern line, just to keep the boat from swinging, it's more than adequate. And I think we have plenty to get us a decent away from shore. So I've got one end tied up there to those dead trees, and it's all flaked out here on the boat. The other end, I found this float as well, so I tied that on. I've got a doubled over figure 8 knot here so that we have 2 loops that our shackle's attached to. And then we've got 2 other lines, as you can see, this lighter green and darker green on the shackle. So the lighter green just runs out. There's nothing on the end. You can see it on shore there. And we'll use that to tie the boat up to it. So that is basically like our mooring line, and that's just gonna float on the surface. And then this lighter green, this darker green line is tied on to this grapnel anchor. So you might have noticed this on the housetop on the voyage here. I asked the folks at the yacht club if they knew of where I could find a old 20-pound anchor or so that we could use for this purpose, and that we could relocate to the south coast, because I am not gonna keep this old hunk of iron on Arabella. But what that's gonna do is it's gonna keep this float and this line offshore when we are away. So ideally, we'll be able to swoop in, grab onto this light green line, tie on one of our 100-foot lines, and then motor away, drop the anchor, and then use that 100-foot line on the jib winch to winch us back, tie off to here, put our line away, and then when we want to leave to go to Francois to get groceries or head to one of the abandoned towns, we can untie this dock line, basically this mooring line, and just leave this whole rig set up. So the line tied to shore, and the grapnel anchor will keep that from floating away, and we should be able to just pick it up again. I'm going to use all of this line that we have because in here at shore, the black flies can be pretty fierce. If there's a good wind, it blows them away, but when there's not much of a breeze, oh man, they can be brutal. They're pretty bad right now. But you get out on the water 300-400 feet, and you get a little bit of a breeze, get away from the shore, and their numbers drop off dramatically. So I'm going to use all of this yellow line that we have. I think it's 300 or 400 feet long, and that should get us out far enough to be away from all of these super annoying insects. Black flies are following me out here. All right, there goes our knot where I joined a couple pieces together here. Alright, here's our float. And then I found this on a Kiva and I's walk as well. So somebody had made a little anchor. So it's a chunk of granite in this fishing net, had this yellow line on it. So let's get this set up at the stem, and then we'll back up pretty hard and let that just pop off. And then the last thing will be to toss this anchor over. So you can see how that line floats on the surface. This line to the anchor at low tide will do the same thing. It's going to float up. So my hope is that this rock helps pull that line more straight down, so that when we can come in with Arabella and we can snag that line that's floating there without getting this anchor line caught in the propeller. So we back up a bit more, knock that rock off. And then Oh, this is hard trying to do this with the camera. That line over there. So I'm hanging onto the anchor here. The motor's pulling me in reverse. That line's pretty tight. So over she goes. Oh, all right, we're pulling that float under. I'm gonna have to adjust that a little bit. All right, so that rock worked. It's holding that line straight down, but I gotta move that another like 5 or 6 feet down and reset that. Because the tide's gonna go up 5 or 6 feet, and that's gonna totally bury that buoy. So just let me make that quick alteration and we'll reset. I adjusted that rock and it is still pulling this float under. So I brought this fender actually for this purpose, and then I found this float. So let's tie this fender on there, and I think that'll keep it up. So that's floating real high and clear now. And that rock is doing great. It's pulling that anchor line right down. So we can come in pretty close to this without worrying about getting that in the prop. And then this line will float on the surface. Perfect. And this is out far enough from shore that we've got a bit of a breeze. Should be able to come in, get nice and close, pick that line up. Oh, this is great. All right, one last thing is I've got 2 of these red floats. And I'm gonna tie those on between the main float and the shore. I wanna make this real obvious that that line goes there. I don't want someone coming in when we're not here and not realizing that that's a line and getting themselves hung up. All right, there we go. So we're tied into shore, come out a ways, then we got our first float. Come out a bit farther and we got our second float. And then we've got our main float. And that's where we'll tie on. The camera makes it look so much farther from shore than it is. But I think this will work out pretty well. We'll have to get Arabella moved over and tied up to this stern line and see how it works.
Thanks for taking the trip with us today, and come back next time to see the adventure continue. Check out the link in the description to our Patreon page to find out more about how to become part of that essential support. We couldn't make these videos without it, so we'd really appreciate it if you've been watching for years but had never considered it. We hope you'll give it a go, even if it's just for a little bit and for a little while. Every little bit counts. Thank you, and hope you're having a pleasant journey as well. See you next time.